Hello and welcome to another session of the My Solo 401k Financial, My Community Daily Webinar Series. If you have questions or topics that you wish to discuss, please chat those over. We'll go through those sequentially. We'll kick it off with the one that was already chatted up. As always, the presentation is being provided for educational purposes only and should not be construed as tax, legal, or investment advice, nor is a solicitation. When making an investment decision, please consult with your tax attorney and financial professional. Today's topic is a hot topic that comes up a lot, and there's a lot of misinformation out there. Fact or fiction? Do solo 401k contributions reduce self-employment taxes? So we're going to answer that question. But first, let's knock out this question that was chatted up. Appreciate your patience. Appreciate you bringing the question. Where would I find the appropriate forms for a letter of instruction for a direct rollover into my solo 401k account? Also, what specifically do I need to report it to my solo 401k for record keeping purposes? So let me grab your email from the booking. Thank you so much for joining on, and we'll follow up with you after this call regarding next steps. When you roll over money to the solo 401k, it's not reportable by the plan. So there's nothing to let us know about. In other words, it doesn't have to be issued or doesn't have to be reported on a 5498 like you would with an IRA. Instead, it's going to be reported by the company from which you roll over the money. So it's going to have to come from a pre-tax IRA because you can only transfer from a pre-tax IRA, not from a Roth IRA. And then they're going to issue, meaning the IRA provider is going to issue a 1099-R. So that's why it's going to be important that the transfer instructions lets them know that you're rolling the money over to your employer plan so that they issue a 1099-R reporting the transfer as a non-taxable direct rollover. But yes, I made note of your email and we'll follow up with you regarding next steps to help you with that rollover. Thank you so much for joining. Good question. All right, we got another question here before we turn to the good topic, which is, I hope it's okay if I ask this. Yes, any questions you have, whether on this topic or another topic, you're welcome. We appreciate the chance to discuss these topics. Where can I find the 2024 1099-R? Okay. Let me make note of your email and we'll follow up with you regarding the 2024 1099-R. All right, great. Okay, so now let's go to the topic, the named title topic, which is fact or fiction. Do solo 401k contributions reduce self-employment taxes? That's the big question. And the short answer is no, and we'll break it down where some of the misconceptions are, the type of income tax that it does reduce, and I'll just go through shedding light on maybe why this is a misconception. But that's the big question. Does solo 401k employer contributions save 15.3%, so that's your self-employment tax, in self-employment taxes? We'll investigate this claim using the IRS rules and the tax forms. And the goal here is to really separate the real benefits from common misconceptions. The myth is that employer contributions reduce business net profit. If you look at certain articles, certain websites, maybe forums, may make this claim. And oftentimes the basis is that making an employer contribution is going to lower your net profit, so therefore lower your self-employment tax base of 15.3% savings, typically. The reality is that the answer is no, and we'll break this down by entity type, right? So sole proprietors, single member LLCs, S-Corp, C-Corps, etc. So for sole proprietors and single member LLCs, your self-employment tax is based off of Schedule C, your net income, less 1/2 of the self-employment tax. When you make a solo 401k contribution, that is not going to reduce the income on Schedule C. So solo 401k contributions are not a deductible expense on Schedule C. That's why it doesn't reduce your self-employment tax. So Instead, when you make a solo 401k pre-tax contribution, whether an employee or employer, that deduction happens on Schedule 1 of your Form 1040. So after you've already determined your earned self-employment income. So the effect is that it will reduce your income tax, but not your self-employment tax. So that's how it works for sole proprietors, maybe single member LLCs that report their income on Schedule C. Now for S corporation owners, C corporation owners, when you make an employer contribution, it's not reported on your W-2. And your FICA, effectively your self-employment tax, is based off of the income reported on W-2. So when you make that employer contribution, it gets reported on the employer's tax return. So it's definitely not going to be reported on the S-Corp. When you make even a pre-tax employee contribution, it doesn't reduce your obligation to pay FICA. So it does reduce box 1 of your W-2, which is the income that is transferred over to your 1040, and therefore it does reduce how much you pay in income taxes, but it's not going to reduce your FICA base. Your FICA base is not based on box 1, it's based on other boxes in the W-2 that are not reduced by making pre-tax employee contributions. And most certainly making employer contributions is not going to reduce your W-2. Instead, it gets reported on the 1120S, in other words, the S corporation's tax return as a deductible expense, or on the 1120, the C corporation's tax return, depending on how your self-employed business is taxed. So the verdict here is separating fact from fiction. The claim, employer contributions reduce net profit and therefore lower self-employment tax. Incorrect. And we just broke that down why that is. The claim, every dollar saves 15.3 cents in self-employment tax. Again, incorrect. We broke it down. So it does reduce your income tax potentially when you're making a pre-tax solo 401k contribution, whether employee or employer, but it's not going to reduce the self-employment tax. It would be nice, but it's not how it works. So we got to separate fact from fiction. We got to debunk the myths out there. So if this video is helpful to you, please like this video. Helps us to get the word out to other solopreneurs, self-employed individuals. There's a growing number of solopreneurs out there, which may be subject to the misinformation and where this information might be helpful to them, or share it with others that might find it to be helpful. If you've got other questions about this topic or another topic, please chat it over now. We'll give you a moment to see if any more questions come in. In the meantime, and I see the email here, that's the one that we grabbed from the booking. Thank you so much. We also want to invite you to our community. We have the largest community of self-employed individuals, solopreneurs, interested in solo 401k plans. We've got over 30,000 members, which means that we have a vibrant community. There's forums, there's a library of videos and webinars. So there's a lot of great ways to learn, to share the knowledge on there. So please don't hesitate to join. You're totally welcome to join at mysolo401k.net/my community. All are welcome. It's free to join. You can join there easily. Please also subscribe to our channels. We go live every day. We bring content like this every single day, so you can see the content that we're bringing. You can also join live and ask questions, hear what other folks are asking. So please don't hesitate to subscribe as well. All right. Well, thank you so much for the great participation. Until next time, we appreciate it, everyone. Take care.